Suck my balls, Kyle. No, he has to suck my balls!
You like to suck my balls, don't deny it.
Oh, suck my balls, you ginger Jew rat hall monitor! Punk-ass stoolie, who the do you think you are? Suck my balls, K-10. That's right, suck my Canadian balls! Suck my balls! No, you suck my balls! Thanks, everybody. Suck my balls! Yeah, whatever, you can suck our balls. Suck my balls, 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 suck my balls.
How would you children like to suck on my chocolate salty balls?
Oh, you mean like a chocolate candy?
No, I mean my balls.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Suck My Balls review. Special right here on the tubers. That being for you, a tube. And I might have shared this on Facebook at some point in time as well in video format. As I'm your host in the heat and I can't be beat. I'm your guy who's high where the air is dry. I'm the boy. MSG. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagrammers at Matthew_Shepard. Each and every week, if you haven't figured it out, hopefully you have here on our YouTube. If you haven't, that's fine. We'll tell you. We review South Park for you in linear fashion. So if you like, you can go back on our podcast feed, catch up on 111 episodes we have currently recorded, and maybe you're going to watch us a year from now. Who knows? We'll probably have 52 more. But go back and check that out. Subscribe, and you can go down that South Park journey, but not to get confused with our episode numbers on the podcast format. We're doing the brand new recaps, synopsis, our reactions right here on YouTube. And of course, I am joined by one of my co-hosts as well, who joins me each and every week. Ladies and gentlemen, he comes in not too old, but by God, where he lives, it's cold. There's no mold on his walls because, boy, all he's got is lots of toys, ladies and gentlemen. His name is Dirty Joe. Renal. See, I made up a little intro for you, Jim. Right there on the spot. Let's get loud. I'm gonna get funky here. No copyrights on this song. That's what I'm fucking talking about. What's up, Jim?
Not much. You ain't joking about that cold. We got like 6 inches.
I know. I saw the news. Yeah, I saw Fox Weather. And then like I met somebody through like for some educational stuff the other day. So I was going to go back for some training, and like she was telling me her sister lives in Denver and how it was cold there. I was like, oh, I just moved there. And we get talking. Yeah, I don't want to. I'm glad I'm gone. Too bad for you. Haha.
Yeah, it was like below zero with the wind chill or whatever yesterday.
You know what? I woke up this morning. I got in the car. Do you know how cold it was?
60.
No, it was 45.
Oh. Okay.
It wasn't even that bad. Like I fucking put on some fucking shorts and t-shirt. Anyway, let's move on.
Right.
We're here to talk about South Park. Our boy though, Scoop, is not with us. Shout out to our boy. All right, it's good time. But yeah, let's get into this as we're in for another edition of
Suck my balls.
Suck My Balls review. This is South Park season 25 recap here. This is the season 1 episode. It's called Pajama Day, and it was pretty fun. Joe, I enjoyed it. If you've listened to our podcast, you know we do more of like a traditional style. We're going to go in order. We might jump around on this. This is just kind of our free-flowing thoughts. We do have a couple bullet points, which we're going to try to stick to at some point. But we turned on the episode, right? I mean, there was a little bit of a hype going into this as far as 1 or 2 days, but not much. You saw a clip, you saw a trailer, and that was it. All of a sudden, boom, Pajama Day. You're like, oh, what's this going to be about? But what we knew is coming back after those 2 specials, which, yeah, we kind of dropped the ball and putting the part 2 up. Coming back after 2 specials, Joe, I mean, it was kind of refreshing, at least I thought, from the, advertising spectrum going in. Cool, we're going to get a kids episode again. No more of the bullshit with the parents in the future right now. And it also, based on the episode and what the overall idea for it was, we knew it wasn't going to be focused on pandemic shit. So I thought going in that I was like, man, I was excited. And as I watched it even again today, I really enjoyed it. But you had other thoughts. So tell me what you thought going in.
it was nice to see that they were back to the kids and everything, and I didn't see the trailers or anything. I'm usually pretty good at avoiding that stuff, although I did see pretty much every orchestra spot, which was fantastic. It was, I mean, it does make sense for them to go back to them as kids, but at the same time, it's almost like putting the toothpaste back in the tube. We already kind of know how it ends. And
Do we?
I mean,
Do we know how it ends though?
yeah, because this is the timeline they more or less set after at the end of the
For now.
second.
I mean, unless they're starting some sort of South Park Marvel universe where it's going to be a South Park U-verse and like a South Park verse, and like we're going to have a Flashpoint, but it'll be South Park Flashpoint. Just like that. It's like, and Jimmy will have his own fucking like, God damn it, Jimmy got the Flashpoint. Fuck.
And yeah, oh no, you're good. And but at the same time, like I knew they weren't going to keep the series going as adults anyway, and they may just have like a post-COVID like spin-off, or like Law and Order, SVU, South Park, post-COVID.
That would be interesting if they kept doing that. Right. That's a good point. They could continue to go with South Park post-COVID because there's no reason why. Again, we have speculated a little bit in our first part, but we thought that, are we going to end up seeing some sort of, time loop? You know what I mean? In regards to that. Because you can always change the past. I mean, you could have present Cartman go into the future for some reason, and he sees how he ends up, and he's all like, what? And then he changes that, which ultimately changes the future. You know what I'm saying? So like, and then that changes part 3 or part 4 or whatever it is. But they're going to give us 2 years, so we can only speculate when those are going to come out. I guess we'd have to assume maybe sometime later this year in either the summer or the fall. If they're giving us 6 episodes, we know up front for this season. We don't know if there's 10. They have announced 6 though, but that could be the reason why unfortunately, we could be looking at a situation where they only give us 6 episodes for the season, and then they give us 2 movies, which I would hope not. I'd hope we get 10 episodes still, but
yeah, that's going to be really interesting how that contract works out.
Unless they do it like, which I'd be okay with this, if they give us 6 to start the new year, then you take a break, maybe give us 1 movie in the summer, and then you give us 4 new episodes like in the fall, and then you give us another movie. That way you kind of get in South Park all year. I'd be cool.
Yeah, I'd be pretty cool with that.
Well, I'd be okay with that. We'd be happy as fans. Speaking of things that, whether or not people are happy or dissatisfied, Joe, there seemed to be a little bit of a kerfuffle on the internet in regards to some of the feedback on this episode, and it had to do with one of our favorite characters, and that being Mr. Mackey.
You better quit while you're ahead. What? You don't understand how important Pajama Day is to kids. It's like the Met Gala for children.
If I change my mind now, I look weak.
Okay, but I don't think this is gonna end up the way you want it to.
Attention, this is Mr. Mackey.
No, that's my buddy Shane. But seriously, what did you think of this? Like, because people were online suggesting that Mr. Mackey, who's obviously voiced by Trey Parker, his voice has changed. Whereas I submit to you, and I think you agreed, that in the scene in which we saw Mr. Mackey only in for this episode, as far as speaking role, he was very sad, or like it was more empathetic, or like, oh, I don't know if you should go in there and do that. Okay, it was more cautionary versus like upbeat Mr. Mackey voice, which I think people have become accustomed to hearing.
That's like when, not to go after a shitty cartoon, but like when Stewie would give Brian shit about his novel. I don't know, he kind of talks like this. That's kind of what I thought Mackey was doing there. I don't know if you should do that, okay? Like...
Or you think you want to do that, okay? I don't think you like how it is. Okay.
Yeah, and walks off, and you see Miss PC Principal like, oh shit, what, bro?
Yeah, and it's just like, and I mean, nothing's going to happen in like the few weeks or however long it's been between the second post-COVID special, which I mean did have a little bit of Mackey in it, and this episode. Like all of a sudden Trey Parker like lost his Mackey voice out of nowhere. Like fucking pull your heads out of your asses, internet.
Yeah, that's it. That's really our comments on it. It's obviously Trey Parker's voice. Now, if you want to make the argument, maybe he used different equipment. Maybe he recorded from home. I don't know. It's cold outside, as Joe fucking suggested, and it has been for the last couple months. Who knows what the fuck's going on with their studio situation? But I think we can probably be rest assured that it's definitely Mr. Mackey for now. Unless they come out. If they come out and say, hey, you know what? Actually, we hired a voice actor parody that we thought was spot on. Sorry, go fuck yourself. Then all we have to know right now at this point that it's Trey Parker doing the voice that he's been doing for 25 years, guys. 26 years, I guess, if you take the year off, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So overall, though, let's talk about the episode now a little bit more in depth. So we've got the episode. If you haven't figured it out, you haven't watched it, the synopsis really of this episode is the school is going to have, I guess, their annual pajama day. Now, for those maybe who don't understand that, why they would have an annual pajama day, here in America, or at least from my experience as a child, we used to have lots of stupid holidays, whether it be in like elementary school, middle school. Those started to subside a little bit more when you got into high school, because at that point, it's like you got to get serious. But there would be all these dumb little school events, maybe not holidays, but school events is probably more precise, to add some, I guess, school spirit, to give the kids a break, relief, fun from the educational hardships that one might go through.
More or less, yeah. They were even called Spirit Days when I was in school, and when I was in school and we had them.
Well, I didn't have a lot of spirit, I guess, Joe, so maybe I wasn't paying attention. I didn't have spirit. No, fuck you. I didn't have spirit. Get away. Get a clue. I made that up right now, and I wish I had known that in high school. That being said, yeah, so we saw the kids enact, or they're excited for what's called Pajama Day. I mean, put the two together, obviously, it's allowing the kids to come to school and wear pajamas. Now, my thought, though, is these kids are generally casually wearing mountain clothes in reality because it's cold, right? So couldn't they have just gotten away with wearing their pajamas in general under their clothes the whole time? Like being comfy wumpy? Like, I don't get that. They could have just wore their pajamas, put some sweats over it, and then put a jacket on top. And I feel like they could have gotten away with that at school.
Yeah, no, it's
what pajamas are.
I mean, yeah, that is kind of a plot hole, but
that being said, kids, they're excited. Yeah. It's a thing to do. We know because we're adults. We're like, what? But kids, that's the thing to do. Mm-hmm. So the kids are excited to go to school and enjoy this pajama day. But it starts off with the main, I guess you say, side crux or antagonist of the kids, and that being Mr. Garrison. I'm sorry. That's right. Mr. Garrison has returned to the classroom. He's the teacher once more. And we also found out that his sexual identity, again, his preference is now male once more. I guess he could technically hook back up with Mr. Slave, but Mr. Slave is married to Big Gay. Maybe they'll do a wife swap on a future episode. I don't know. Now I'm making up things here. But Mr. Garrison's back in the classroom. And, of course, he's back up to his old tricks, Joe. Just like typical Garrison fashion. He's not really teaching the children anything. He's having a conversation with the children about his love life. In fact, so much so that in the first time in the history of South Park, I guess it would be the first time, but in the first time in a while, we've seen him reintroduce a lover, and he did so in a manner by a gentleman named Rick. That was Rick. I think it was Rick. Rick comes into the classroom and he introduces Rick to the children, and the children are just kind of sitting there quietly, still in disbelief. Kyle has his mouth open the whole time because you can just read his expression, like, "What the fuck is going on here? Why am I not being taught anything? Like, this is dumb. And even if I wasn't being taught anything, this is not entertaining. This is weird. This is not school. Where am I?" Right? That's the expression that Kyle's got. So he introduces Rick to the class. The class still doesn't say anything. After Rick leaves, Mr. Garrison then gets a call from his other jilted lover, Marcus. And he's all having a conversation with the kids. Kids, say something. The kids won't respond. So because the children are unable to, they don't want to talk. They don't say nothing. Mr. Garrison has a fit, starts yelling at the kids, and Missy Principal overhears this, comes in, Joe, and says, "Pajama Day has been taken away." So Cartman then says in the next scene, "We keep getting fucked." We didn't do nothing, bruh. I like Stan's response here. What are we gonna do, bruh? I was like, well, he's like, we got a fat back, bruh. So I like the fact that Stan used the bruh line. What do you want to do, bruh?
Yeah.
So have you ever been in a situation, not to go on a tilly-tally, where a school event was taken away from you, Joe, and it broke your heart? No, me either. So we don't have much to say there. So if you did, sorry, too bad. I don't know what to tell you. Moving on, we saw the kids then go through what they felt like what was necessary to try and get Pajama Day back. Now, the side story that was going on here is in the town, they are using Pajama Day as a parallel to current event with masks. So everybody in the town of South Park is either wearing pajamas in support of the children or not wearing pajamas because ideally it's fucking cold and it's icy and slushy outside and you don't want to fucking wear those clothes outside. So if you don't wear the pajamas, though, just like right now in society, if you don't wear the mask, you're not admitted into fine dining establishments. You're heckled at work. You're thrown into jail in certain cases, and domestic disputes happen where a wife gets taken away because she doesn't want to sleep in the same bed because her husband refuses to put on pajamas. But so she's going to go downtown and stay there in the night. People are shitting on cop cars. What'd you think as far as all that? And of course, what they utilized this was, if you notice, and I really like this. I'm not saying conservatives are doing this, and I'm not even saying people who support Trump are just saying this. I'm just saying there's a certain section of people that when they feel like they're mentally triggered or their values are being taken away, they go to an extreme mindset that in which they feel they're being persecuted to the extent of a Nazi. What is this? Nazi fucking Germany is the references we got throughout this whole episode. Even so much that Tom, or the anchor, which we never see, gets to listen from his sideline reporter, his on the scene reporter, about all the different German things going on. So much so that by the end of the episode, the reporter is now gone to great lengths to show that it is Nazi Germany because he's dressed up as a German Hitler commander and is speaking in full Guten Tag German.
Yeah, that was one of the funnier parts where he just started doing the whole report in German, and it was like, oh shit.
So Joe, I know that you've probably come across some unsavory characters and some characters in just around the pro wrestling business. So I'm sure you've heard of somebody having an argument. Maybe they've had a drunken night. What is this, Nazi Germany? If they're not getting their way or something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Even not a lot, but it's definitely happened. Sometimes like I've heard it more often than not used as a joke, but sometimes I've heard people like, you fucking Nazi. And it's like, dude, like, I don't think you understand what that word means.
I don't think you really understand what you're saying. You're being like relatable to. Are you saying that you were tortured in an internment camp and 7 million of you, which we don't know if that's the actual number. It's anywhere from 3 to 7 million people were slaughtered and executed just because they were born and being regular people? No. Oh, no, you just didn't get your way today. Yeah. Shut the fuck up. Calm down. Relax. So I thought that was a funny satire take on from Matt Stone and Trey Parker. Like, look, nobody likes wearing the masks, but this isn't fucking Nazi Germany. Relax. Like, you only have to put the mask on when you go inside a public place. No one's telling you to wear it in your house. No one's saying you have to wear it in your car. No one's still saying you have to fucking wear it when you go outside to go to the park. Really, these mask mandates are just in public places that are closed. I mean, fuck, the Super Bowl's happening and they're making people wear the masks. So, like, that should tell you, hello, like, that's going to be inside of a stadium. I imagine if it was outside like WrestleMania was, nobody was wearing fucking masks this year. So, like, it varies from venue to venue and event to event, and it's up to the state. So, like, relax and just go with what you got to do. And if you don't, then don't go to it. You don't have to participate. You can do other things. Like, it's not the end of the world. Fear of missing out does not rule your life. And now I'm going on a philosophical talk here. But back to the episode. In regards to the Nazi references, it all breaks down to a point where PC Principal, unfortunately, starts having some remorse on the fact that he made this declaration that the kids can't go, because now you've got parents involved, such as Cartman manipulating Leanne to call the school and, like, basically speaking for her. Like, she was regurgitating every single line Cartman was saying. So
Yeah.
even at the end of it, Cartman's like, God damn it, you fucked up. And you just see her kind of roll her eyes because she literally was saying exactly what Cartman wanted her to say. So she let herself be manipulated and still took the blame, unfortunately, because Leanne's in that type of abusive relationship with Cartman as the manipulator. And speaking of manipulation, when the boys itself, kind of get fed up and they kind of want to come up with an idea to try and rectify the situation to get their pajama day back, they decide to align with the girls because Wendy, she tries to make a play in regards to her and her friends going into PC's principal's office to try and get pajama day back. So they come together and Cartman's like asking for ideas. But it's like, how about we shoot at the school? Cartman's like, I like that idea, but it's not original about it. It's been done before. And then even Jimmy's like,
burn down the cafeteria.
No, that was Clyde. But Jimmy's like, how about we smear feces all over the school walls? I was like, nope, Cartman's already done that too. Yep. And then the girls are like, how about we just apologize? And then like all of us are like, what the fuck? Clyde's like, I didn't fucking do anything wrong.
Yeah.
They're right. They didn't do anything wrong. Garrison is taking out his own, he's using the children as his own emotional crutch. And the children, by not participating in it because they don't want to participate in it anymore, are making him angry, I guess. I don't know. I guess would be the thread there. So they decide that they're going to go apologize. And even so much so that they never get the opportunity to apologize because when the children piss off Mr. Garrison once more the very next day. So, you get the climax of the end of the episode. PC principal, he's all sitting in his office. What the fuck, dude? What the fuck, bro? As he hears gunshots inside. He's like, all over Pajama Day, dude. Because Pajama Day happens. And unfortunately, the fourth graders don't get to wear their pajamas. So I bet certain fourth graders probably acted out and fucking shot up the fucking school, which we'll have to go back and maybe, get more detail of that. But Wendy eventually comes into the office and has a heart-to-heart with PC principal. And PC principal says, like, do you know what principal stands for, bro? It stands for principal. You have to have principals, bro. And so he basically tells Wendy, tell your kids, tell the students to go home, change. I will put in my resignation today. And Wendy's like trying to convince him, no, maybe people will see you as a strong individual. And principal's like, no, you're wrong, Wendy. Dude. Can't do that. And Wendy's like, well, why don't we just not do that? Because you have to stand by your principles and the kids will be okay. At least we still have opposite day to look forward to. And Pizza Principal is like, what'd you say, Dad? She's like, well, we still have, at least we'll still have opposite day to look forward to. The kids will be okay. And he's like, what's that, Dad? And she's like, it's the second Friday in February. And he's like, oh, I got it, Dad. So he comes up with the idea by getting on the intercom and saying that Mr. Mackey made a fumble. So he shifts the blame to Mr. Mackey and says, it's actually not Pajama Day, it's opposite day. So because it's opposite day, you can do whatever the fuck you want. They're going to have breakfast for lunch, dude. Which that got me really thinking like what I would have done if the teacher came on the intercom and said, you can do whatever you want. I would just take a shit outside the toilet. It's almost not. Mr. Mackey.
Shit on the teacher's desk.
Shit in the urinal. Yeah, just to piss fucking Mackey off. Who am I doing with urinal, guy? So, and the resolve, of course, is by the end of the episode, everybody's let out of jail. But we are shown within the final scene, Harrison Yates talking to some of the prisoners who he had to arrest for not being compliant. And saying, all right, you can leave. You don't, and they're like, oh, we don't have to wear pajamas. And he's like, I don't care what you wear. You can wear whatever the hell you want as long as it covers your dick and tits. And then the guy goes, you can't tell me what to do. I'm not going to cover up my dick and tits. And that's how it ends. Of course, that being the message, like there's still people, no matter what, that are going to argue with you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of your little recap there. You mentioned that they used a real Pajama Day song. Tell me about this.
It was something that I had heard like a niece or nephew listen to super, super young.
Really?
And yeah.
All right. Well, if you know that answer to that, drop the answer in the comments below. What is the Pajama Day song? So we can all go find it and see if it, is real. It wouldn't surprise us because, South Park has used real music in the past, whether it be licensed from a huge media standpoint or from the real Danish song from the troll fucking season. That song.
Yeah. I mean, Kenny tamed Foofus Strange, so they know very much of the preschool music world.
All right. Before we get into the last thing of some of these pop culture references and trivia, and like we normally do on our podcast, we're just going to take a quick break here as we take a moment with our sponsor, and we'll be right back. Subscribe to Suck My Balls, a South Park review on Spotify, Apple's, iTunes, anywhere you want to download a podcast. Just type that in, subscribe to our feed. You'll get the latest, greatest episode each and every week. You can also listen to us on YouTube and go back and watch some videos or any of our library. It's all there. Suck My Balls, South Park review. Hey guys, we just want to take this quick time out here just to recognize our sponsor. What's that? Well, who's our sponsor?
Baked Boys Club.
Big Boys Club. The BakedBoysClub.com.
The Baked Boys Club.
That's right, the Baked Boys Club. You can use our code SuckMyBallsPod and you'll save how much, Joe?
20 motherfucking%.
20.
You heard it right.
20%.
20%.
That's right.
20.
20. That's 1/5 off your order just by typing in Suck My Balls Pod at thebakedboysclub.com. What does the Baked Boys Club have? Well, they've got hats, they've got shirts, they've got stickers, tons of different apparel. They've got mystery boxes, and if you use that code, according to Scoop, it brings it down to $49.95. So use Suck My Balls Pod code at thebakedboysclub.com. Baked Boys, not just a brand,
A lifestyle.
it's a lifestyle. That's right.
It's a lifestyle. I may have been too big to do that.
All right, Joe, let's go ahead now and get into the Trillium.
All right. This is the first time Kenny's little sister, Karen McCormick, is seen at South Park Elementary. She, of course, has been seen in other places throughout the series, but never at South Park Elementary. This is the second time we see PC Principal lifting in his office. The first time is in the episode Put It Down. As we established earlier, Mr. Garrison is once again into men and in a same-sex relationship. He left Marcus for Rick. Marcus is angrily yelling at Mr. Garrison at a phone call, which does slightly reference Garrison yelling at Mr. Slave for leaving him for Big Gay Al. And again, as we pointed out earlier, the ideas suggested by the fourth grade boys on what to do to save Pajama Day are things they've done before, but are suggesting to shoot up the school as they did in Dead Kids. Craig planning to burn down the cafeteria as happened in The List. And gluten-free Ebola. And this is actually the fifth time that an arson on the school has been planned. And Jimmy suggests smearing shit on the windows, which of course is a reference to My Future Self and Me.
Which you can go back.
If I were older, I'd so jack off right now.
And you can go back and listen to My Future Self and Me review, as we have reviewed that. That is in the first 111 episodes. Continuing on there, we talked about Mr. Mackey.
Yeah. I'm not touching that Mr. Mackey one.
Yeah, so we already talked about the Mr. Mackey tone. We don't need to get back and go back and listen to the first part.
Yep. Tweak does not appear in the classroom, but is in the hallway throughout the episode. And as I was saying earlier, Pajama Time is, in fact, an actual song by the Laurie Berkner Band.
Glad you looked that up. I'm glad we got that clarified. Let's get some references to pop culture. Matt Damon is referencing a series of jokes throughout the episode, particularly for an advertisement that we saw on Crypto.com on YouTube titled, "Fortune Favors the Bold." Now, Matt Damon, of course, is also mentioned as a joke in Team America World Police, film in which Parker and Stone have made, and it debuted in 2004. Matt Damon, part of the Film Actors Guild, and if you put the acronym together, you can understand what they did. The laws that are in place, of course, for Pajama Day are compared to being in Nazi Germany, with some residents and the news reporters also speaking in German. I saw reactions on Twitter with people who were like, I am loving the German right now on South Park. It's hysterical. So Pajama laws are also a reference to the mask mandates, of course, happening right now during the COVID-19 pandemic. But a suggestion to shoot up the school may be a reference to death threats that have been leveled at school administrators in the United States. I was not aware of that as I don't have kids. So that is happening. That sucks. And when the kids are celebrating Pajama Day at the end of the episodes, Kenny is wearing a Scooby-Doo pajama onesie.
Sweet.
Now, I didn't really see any. We already kind of pointed out the references to some continuity there within the scene of the boys, like making references to previous events that Cartman has already pretty much done as far as like devices of getting back at people. Something that we did fail to mention, though, is in that scene when Cartman is delivering his speech because he's at the podium trying to get the boys and girls to come together. And the girls say that we've got to apologize. Cartman also says, it's just so goddamn manipulative. It's going to work. I was just like, that's hysterical. Which kind of goes back and to kind of, get to the point where we want to wrap this thing up here. What did you like about this episode, Joe?
This is going to sound kind of weird and kind of stupid. It was almost a return to normalcy, because like even in like most of the TV shows I've watched since the pandemic and everything, there's been like, there's been references to masks, or there's been references to the pandemic. And yes, the whole pajama comparison to the masks. So yeah, this is about the pandemic, but it wasn't. It was just, you could have had this episode 10 years ago and it could have very much been the same episode. It would have just been that wearing pajamas was a euphemism for something else.
That's a good point, because when we look back on this episode in maybe 5 to 10 years, when hopefully we're not dealing with any worldwide pandemics and everybody is back to living their normal lives, that we will see an instance where we can look back on this and be like, not even think about associating pandemic or wearing masks to it in general, right? So I think that from that standpoint, they definitely did make a episode that long term will probably stand the test of time in that regard. But to that, I guess, point, you mentioned kind of come back to normalcy. Now, I liked it. I thought it was nice to just kind of turn my mind off again, go back to some South Park. But let me ask you this, because you also mentioned you thought the episode maybe wasn't of the best. And do you feel like maybe that's because we've gotten so much already now from the movies and what we've seen character development and growth, that kind of going back to a nonchalant, what you might say one-off episode, right? Because there's not really any character development. This was just a one-off episode in the concept of South Park. Do you maybe feel like that maybe was disappointing?
I wasn't disappointed in that regard. I think I was just, the only thing in the episode that disappointed me was I probably had higher expectations for the episode because I just have it in such a high esteem, and so many of the season premieres going back probably the last 5-10 years have been such good monumental episodes. You had Go Fuck Yourself. It was the Go Fuck Yourself, the Washington Redskins episode.
Go fuck yourself.
They had the school burning down, or the not burning down, but there's been, it seemed like they could have gone harder and they didn't. I know obviously they can't all be bangers, but this was a very, very middle of the road episode, and maybe I shouldn't necessarily say that's disappointing because, like I said, they can't all be bangers, but maybe I should just kind of temper my expectations.
I mean, I think they're making some fair criticisms in regards to what, as far as, maybe what I was kind of alluding to, right? Like we kind of have been built into these different things. Even in the special COVIDs that came out on Comedy Central, the Vax and the South Park Q special, we saw some evolution of those characters, right? I mean, at that point, we see Stan and them still living on the farm. And not that they went away from that, because we did see Randy in his pajamas on the farm. So we know that's still there. But it was a one-off. And after having, the last couple seasons where there has been maybe one direction of a story, them going back to their typical roots of just, hey, let's just go back and do South Park, where we take things that are politically going on and we apply it to our town itself and bring back that joy and maybe love that we saw. And then maybe on the side, we continue to get that Paramount movie style fixture, which maybe you've kind of grown now even more yearning to receive.
And I will say I'm happy that they moved away from the serialization of the seasons. So it's not that the serial seasons were bad by any means. It was just different, and I don't like change, but I like that they're moving away from the serialized season.
Good stuff. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that'll do it for us for another edition of
Suck my balls. Suck my balls.
I'm your host on the scene. No, I'm not. I'm your host in the heat, and I can't be beat. I'm your guy who's high. With a hair's chai for sure, as we continue to review South Park for you each and every week. I'm your boy, MSG. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Matthew_Schaffer. Hit up Linktree, linktr.ee/South Park Pod. Go to our Twitter and you'll see it there too, or on any of our social media. It's in the bio. Linktree, South Park Pod. Hit that up. You can find it, or you just go to Twitter at Suck My Balls Pod, and on Facebook at South Park Pod. Shoot us an email at suckmyballspod@gmail.com. All the information again is available at linktree.ee/South Park Pod. Joe, what's going on in your world today, buddy?
Not a whole hell of a lot. We are going to be at the Roxy Theater March 13th. We don't have a name for that show yet, but yes, we do. It is the Denver Death Trip. You will be able to get tickets for that starting February 7th. You can find me on Twitter at JVVernola. It's not really a good follow right now. I just spent half the day yelling at NBA 2K developers, and I am on. Maybe a good follow for someone, then I don't know. Yeah, it might be entertaining, and I am on the Instagram at JAVernola.
And of course, I believe Ian said his Twitter is at my life something. I don't know. Just go back and listen to episode 111. He says it. Go back and listen to all of our episodes. We appreciate you. We appreciate you for checking out this recap. Once again, shout out to our sponsor, thebakeboysclub.com. Use our code SuckMyBallsPod and you'll save 20% off your order. Bake Boys, not just a brand, it's sort of kind of the essence of lifestyle. And we'll be back on Wednesday of next week for another edition of Suck My Balls. Thanks for dropping by, and thanks for another South Park recap.
Suck my balls. 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 Suck my balls.